every Friday, our friends at Local Environmental Services. You can check them out at localenvironmental.ca. Give us a chance to blow off a little bit of steam, to say what we mean, and to have thousands of people hear it. It's a tradition we call Trash Talk. All right, now I got to be careful about this one because there's a bit of a spoiler alert. For those of you that are big fans of the show Yellowstone, Jerry's got a bee in his bonnet, but I promise to not destroy the plot lines. Johnny, you know there's a new season of Yellowstone out, and well, Jerry's, as he says, pissed off. Why? He says, well, I've been a fan of this show, even with its outrageous plot lines, but in Season 5, the very first episode, the one that just came out, he says, well, it's really got my goat. Like halfway through, real American military cowboy hero Casey Dutton and his posse chases a bunch of horse thieves towards a river that serves as the border to Canada. Well, how exciting, he says. The Cowboys ain't going to let the rustlers get away. Across the river on the Canadian bank, a group of mounted RCMP officers calmly survey the raucous scene. The horses cross the river. The thieves are trying to make it into Canada, all while proclaiming how easy Canadian jail is. You want to go to prison in the U.S.? No way. He says now somehow Casey and his gang, Casey and the Sunshine Band? No, better not. He says they apprehend the thieves and corral them on American soil, proclaiming how they almost got to enjoy the weak Canadian justice system. He says there's a brief back and forth between the Mounties wherein Cowboy Casey reiterates how hard American prison is, and the thieves shake in fear. The RCMP officer quips something alluding to Canadians being more civilized than their counterparts in Montana, to which the Casey implies in derogatory language that all Canadians are sheep. Sheep. Now that's bad news for Jerry, who says, now this term has become so politically loaded, it seems incredibly obvious that the show's writer, Taylor Sheridan, has some pretty strong feelings about Canada. The entire scene itself was not required for plot development. In fact, it seemed to exist for the sole purpose of calling Canadians sheep. And in the wake of COVID and the Ottawa occupation and mask mandates and everything with it, it seemed politically charged, disrespectful, and quite frankly, an asshole move. So Taylor Sheridan, choke on a toque full of poutine, eat a bag of beaver shit, and leave our fantastic country out of your fucking cowboy fantasies. I'm not watching another minute of your show. And then Jerry signs off, peace and love. And this one, right? What was that? Eat a mouthful of beaver shit? And then this from Michelle with 1L. Michelle with 1L says, all this talk about Twitter, on and off Twitter. Now, disclosure, I've never been on Twitter, I've never had an account, and I've very rarely even checked out the site. Maybe a few election nights and January 6th. She says, I get why people are so into it, but I've never understood why people are so into it. Michelle with 1L says, in fact, it's driven me crazy watching close friends of mine so obsessed with this social media site. I don't invoke the word addiction without due thought and consideration. I guarantee you, a few of my girlfriends, and whether he'd admit it or not, my younger brother, they're addicted to Twitter. They check their phones every what feels like 5 minutes. They seem to care more what people they don't even know think than people they've known for 30 years. Their personal highs and lows are based on what happens on a social media site, not in real life. They've been celebrated, then stabbed in the back on Twitter. They've been informed, then duped on Twitter. They've fallen in love with, then out of love with, then back in love with Twitter. For them, it's all about Twitter. I want my book club buddies back. I want my dog walking companions back. I want my backcountry camping companions back. I want my small talk dance partners back. I can't be the only one who's ready to see Twitter burn to the ground. Somebody get me a match. That from Michelle with 1L. Nice stall in the plant behind me there, hey, pal? Trash Talk, our real emails submitted to talk@ryanjesperson.com, presented every Friday right here on the show by our friends at Local Environmental Services. Keep it local at localenvironmental.ca. Real Talk's taking next week off to take care of some family business, and we'll be back at it the Monday after. We'll keep you all posted on our social media channels. Give us a follow on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the Real Talk Sunday message by scrolling to the bottom of the page at ryanjesperson.com. Make it a great weekend, friends, and we'll see you soon.